We are back. Another episode of the EMPI Insider. And having some fun today. Lots of interesting new things going on. And super excited for my guest today, Anthony Chicca, our wizard guru, cylinder head specialist himself. He's going to sit in with us and talk some cylinder head stuff and everything EMPI, and giving everybody a chance to kind of log in and sign in and get in. And, we're rocking and rolling. So, everything getting situated and rocking and situated. Here we are. Everything's rolling, bitch, and everybody's starting to show up and getting things set. Couple of really cool things going on this week. Obviously, you guys heard the announcement too, as from the previous week, but Clydeberg has joined Anthony Chicca with the cylinder head department. One of the things I'm super stoked on, we'll kind of get some of this little stuff out of the way. And one of our newest toys is just hitting. This is the new 164 scale M2. This is going to be the EMPI equipped, kind of a cool little flagship bus that we're going to rock out. We're going to get to that a little bit later. And then you're probably going to see a little something here, and we'll save that for a little bit later. So you're going to have to hang out at the show tonight, hang out with us and kind of enjoy. But heck, man, without further ado, I think we're going to go ahead and get right to it, man. Let's bring him in. Let's roll it. So we're going to roll into, I finally got you, right? So
after a year.
Yeah. So we've been going at this for a minute, and gosh, we've traveled to coast now. We've been places, and I finally nailed him down, and we're at a spot where we can talk some shit and have some fun and talk war stories and everything else.
It's been too busy to take a half an hour out to talk. It's been literally a year straight.
And it really is crazy to think about too, and especially for the people that don't, that aren't here, right? So we, with the audience and everything that we're doing around here with an EMPI, a lot of people just don't know or don't see it, or they're not able to kind of see what's going on, or they're not that close to certain things, so they don't get to see what we see on a daily basis. And, there's probably times where, Chica looks a little worse for the wear, but no, it's been cool, man. And it's been a cool journey. It's not been an easy one. And when we're still, marching on, and there's so much stuff already kind of coming through. So it's really cool to see. Here in Brazil, we love your products. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff. So, as we kind of settle in and kind of dig our heels in now, we'll talk about kind of some of your background. A lot of people are asking, like, who is this wizard and what do you speak of? If you can give us a little rundown about, your pedigree and kind of where you came from.
Well, to start with, the wizard came from, I gave myself that moniker.
Let's fix this a little bit. All right. Bring it up just a tad. There we go.
Yeah. I gave myself that nickname.
The wizard. That must have been Cowlick days or something crazy.
Yeah, it came from the Cowlick days. So it was me and Pat Downs used to go back and forth all the time. And I would tell him that my cylinder heads are magical and you can't beat magic, and I would, then the magic turned into the wizard, and the wizard became my handle on the Cowlick forum. So that's where it came from. So,
well,
so it's kind of a tongue in cheek.
Yeah. The whole rivalry. And I'm sure we'll get to some of that, and just the good old, I guess, just shit talk days, if you will, of, the Cowlick. And I'm sure many of our followers and whatnot kind of miss some of that stuff and whatnot. But so kind of dig into like where, like in the past, like, when you didn't just pop out and start making cylinder heads, right? So
I started because I couldn't afford anybody else to port heads for me. Basically, me and Doug Gonzalez, who drives our super street car. We went to high school together. We started messing around with cars in his garage, and his dad helped us out. He had some new weight cutters and a couple grinders, and we just started messing around and kind of porting on stuff and blending stuff and kind of making it better. He went more of the engine building route, where I went more of working on the cylinder heads, just because we couldn't afford it. And then we got to a point where we were doing okay with what I was doing, but we needed that little extra step. And then that's where we started going to performance technology. Fred Simpson started doing our heads. And then I had brought in a head one time that I had started but never finished. And he kind of saw it and was like, who did this? And I said, I did in the garage. And he's like, no way, And I said, yeah. So from there kind of sparked some conversation. And one day, because I was already a machinist, I worked for aerospace machinist. And one day he just called me up and said, hey, I need somebody to port heads. I need a machinist. Can you come and work for me? And I was 25, no girlfriend, no wife. I kind of took a step out. I left an established job I had been at since I was 16 and went to work for Performance Tech. And
wow,
it's kind of been all, in the dust trail since then.
It's
So.
been all roses and flowers since, huh?
Yeah. And it was rough starting. It was starting a new career. I didn't really know a lot about cylinder heads. Fred taught me a lot. I give him the credit for, getting me established in the industry and showing me what to do. I already had a background in machining and welding, so I had a big step forward. But it was good working for him because he wouldn't turn any job down. I mean, literally, if a head was cut in half, we would put it back together. So I got to see every aspect of building cylinder heads, repairing cylinder heads. Wow. And then he had a big base of pro racers, from Andy Costello to Chris Bubbitts to, Rafael Vasquez, you name it, the who's who he was doing heads for. So I got to see all that stuff and work on that stuff. And then obviously the big stuff, but then also do the 40 by 35 oval ports and more of the production type stuff too. Wow. It just built this big base. So 3 years later, I left there and went to Heads Up Performance, worked for Roger Crawford. And by that time I felt myself was pretty established and Roger trusted me to what I was doing. And I kind of said, hey, I just want to be left alone. Just let me sit in that porting room and just, as long as I make power and as long as it lives, then we're good. Okay. It's kind of the agreement we had when I went to work there. And obviously he gave me pointers along the way and stuff, but what he gave me was free reign. He gave me the key to the shop and says, do what you want.
That's pretty cool. So, not too many people will do that. I mean, especially still at an early age. I mean, you're still a young guy.
I was 28 when I went to work for him.
Wow. So, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, many of the guys that are in the industry now are aging, right? I mean, the artist, if you will, of some of the old school who's
aging. When I went to work for Roger, he was 40. And I'm 49 right now. So we're almost
49 years old.
We're almost getting to that point where I'm the old guy now,
Yeah, you got to start.
There's not a lot of people.
Another clone and one in. No, not a lot of people want to be under a hood, hearing grinding, dealing with that stuff, trying to work on stuff before it can be digitized. I mean, you went through the rough era, right? Of air grinders, hand port, and everything. I mean, that's probably explains why you can't hear me a lot of times, or maybe you're just good ignoring me. I don't know.
Yeah. But Rogers was good because, like Fred, he had a big base of customers, not only Volkswagen but V8, Porsche. Road racing, off-road racing, street cars, NHRA drag cars, so from there I got to see everything. Then we had more high-end equipment, valve seat, cutters and the dyno and the flow benches and more higher end tools. So I got to really expand my horizon, not only seeing other types of heads and motorsports and stuff like that, but be able to test, And at that time, again, no wife, no girlfriend. Yeah. I mean, I literally stayed probably 10 years in that shop. I would honestly say 10 years straight, morning and night, porting and testing and porting and testing.
And that's kind of one of the things that's interesting for me, right? For, I guess, the artistic side of stuff and the creativity side of stuff, you have to essentially want, to chase that. I mean, because you're trying to chase, fractions of chasing a CFM, which is going to turn into fractions of a, hundredth of a second and fractions of a horsepower. And that creative desire and the hours to chase that down has got to be just.
Well, I mean, it's a balance of it's a balance of being a machinist, of being a sculptor, and to be an artist, because you have to make it look good. Because if somebody's paying $8,000 for a set of cylinder heads, they can't look like shit. You know, they have to look good. So it's getting that balance of all the, and then it has to perform, you know, so.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, and then it's all aspects of it too, right? You're looking at not just VW. So, I mean, because was it always just a fanfare of kind of VWs, or did you know, because with you and Doug, I mean, but
it started. I mean, I was brought home from the hospital in a Volkswagen. You know, my mom's first car was a Volkswagen. My dad always had Volkswagens. You know, I tell the story when I started getting into Volkswagens, my dad's like, you know what? I used to get my butt kicked by a Volkswagen back in the 60s. And I'm like, oh, really? You know, like 16-year-old kid, you didn't even care. And then he pops out with a picture of his split window T-top Vet getting smoked by the inch pincher.
That's so cool.
So, I mean, it's always been there. And then back when I grew up, you could buy a bug for $500, build a motor for $1,000, you know, and you had a really cool car, you know, like nowadays when you can't even buy a shell for $5,000, you know. So it was my first transportation. It was a cheap car I could work on. And then in high school, me and Doug hooked up and started just bouncing stuff back and forth. And he had a bug, I had a bug, and he would buy parts, I would buy parts, and we just bounced back and forth. And then started messing around on the streets, you know, something you're not supposed to do, street racing and stuff. And then by the time we got fast enough to where it was getting dangerous on the street, we decided to take it to the track, and it's been, you know, downhill ever since.
Yeah, just constantly spending the time, spending the money. I mean, that's one of the things that's interesting. I mean, you really have to have a passion for it, especially in the Volkswagen sector, right? I mean, you know, the area where it's at and the exposure and everything else, and you know, a lot of people don't, you know, some maybe do know or maybe don't know, but I mean, you've got a pretty good pedigree of driving the car and entry records and stuff like that too.
I was never really wanted to be a driver. It was always I always got my kicks off of doing the heads, building motors, crew chiefing the car, tuning. Doug always liked to drive and wanted to drive, so we kind of just fell into those roles, you know. And we've always raced together, you know, whether it was on the streets, you know, setting up. I'd be setting up races, and he'd be driving
hustling
to us, you know, flat towing the car with a diesel Rabbit, you know, out to the first, you know, our first cracks at Phoenix, you know, and with a bracket car, you know. He was always the driver, and I was always the crew chief, you know, whatever. And then when he took a step back from driving and wanted to start reintroduce the super stock class, he set up the rules and organized the races and got all the sponsors at the beginning. The car was just sitting there. So he's just kind of said, hey, why don't you throw a motor together and drive? And I hadn't driven a car in 20 years. You know, from the Terminal Island days of my little 16-second car. So I approached Bug Pack at the time, and they sponsored me a motor, and I built our first, you know, set of super stock heads, and Doug put the motor together, and I went out the first race and blew up the motor the first race. But the second race, we were number one qualifier and won the race. So from there on, it was about 3 years of really good performance and me doing a decent job driving. And we got a lot of good accolades. We got some Wallies and super stock championships, and set multiple entry records, multiple super stock records in our local race. And
just like no big deal, guys. You know, I've got a couple Wallies. We won a couple championships. You know, I mean, there's many racers, I'm sure, watching the show right now. You know, myself included, that have you know, strive to win a Wally. I mean, I've sniffed one twice and fell short.
Well, it was funny. My wife at the time, we just kind of started dating around that time, and we went to our first race, and it was a super street race. Doug was driving, and we won. And I told her we had won 750, and she thought I meant 750,000 because of the amount of time and work we had put in to go to the work. I said, no, $750. She's like, what? Are you crazy?
You spent $900 getting there in fuel. You know, it's like
I spent, you know, 3 weeks straight at the shop, working on the heads and stuff. So we took this plain stupidity and bullheadedness of running Super Street, which was hard. I mean, the first 2 years we ran Super Street, we never qualified. We went to every race, qualified every race, packed it up and went home before first round. And we never stopped. We just kept coming back. Finally, we qualified and went out first round, maybe for another year. We didn't win a race until maybe 6 or 7 years in.
Wow.
When we finally won a race.
So
we just took that determination and drive and stuff that we had learned in Super Street and just plugged it right into Super Stock. So we already had a car that worked, but we still had to work a lot on, kind of refining the car for the different class and then building the motor and me doing the cylinder heads. And it wasn't easy. We worked our butt off to get that stuff, but it is determination.
I mean, if you kind of take a look at it from just an outside looking in, right? If you look at it with the determination and the willingness to just work on a head, work on you're honed in so much on a specific task to try to build a set of cylinder heads, to try to tune that car perfectly, to try to get out, get kicked in the nuts for 2 years straight, and then, keep spending harder money, keep burning that hours of them. And then to see really the progression of it all now is pretty cool. And if you think about it, like for me, as a fan, like of just the hobby of the sport, if you look at during that time, it was kind of a changing of the guard, really, because some of the older guys were already out hauling ass, lighting the world on fire. And then that next wave of guys coming in there, you and, several others. I mean, you've got kind of a change of guard with Sadler coming out. You guys were kind of coming in and just different stuff. It's intriguing. Thanks for all the questions, guys, coming in so far. Just keep them coming. We'll get to that. So if you guys have your questions, or you want to talk motor setup, or you want to talk cylinder head, or you want to talk life choices, we can talk. Ask Chica today's all, we got him. So get him while you can, because we won't get him probably until SEMA again. But, I think about that, and I think about like kind of who you worked for and the toolage of all that stuff. And I mean, those are some of the greats, and I mean, I think about who you came through the ranks with, and then we kind of come in full circle now back with what we're doing here, right, at EMPI, and we're building that dynasty kind of team that we're going to leave our mark in the future. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, everybody that's kind of coming back here, that's coming home, if you will, now to their new home, like with Clyde now signing on board, Rick Sadler, Jack Sacchetti, and we start working through all that stuff. I mean, we're building something special, and I hope, and I really pray that at times that it's recognized, and that our audience and listeners see that, because, dude, like I don't want to say sit back, just wait. Our best is yet to come. I mean, there's some badass stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, it was different for me starting here, because I could never even imagine the volume of what EMPI sold. I was used to low run production, custom one-off stuff, 2 motors a week type of stuff.
Yeah, it's like the same thing Sadler said when we talked at lunch, and some of this exactly the same things that you're echoing is exactly what Sadler said. He goes, when I was at Bug Pack, I thought I had a good handle on stuff, and I'm pretty particular about being within 5%, maybe 10%. He goes, I'm so far off the realm of where or what I thought EMPI was all about that it's just night and day. And it's really funny to kind of hear you say that same exact thing, because people don't realize like that the work and effort that it goes into feeding this industry and this hobby that we do try so hard to support.
Yeah. When I signed on here, I told him, I originally talked to the previous owner, Dan, about a year before. And I mean, we just didn't click, and I was in a different place at that time, but, excuse me, Jesse, kept hitting me up. Hey, we need somebody, and I finally came down and talked and saw the operation, saw the equipment they had, and it was pretty good stuff. But I said, hey, if I want to come here, I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. I don't want it to be the status quo and me just kind of plug in and just kind of work, you know.
Yeah.
I want to, if you guys are willing to take that extra step and to really expand out and make a better product, you know, it was already a good product. I mean, there's, you know, thousands of units are sold all over the world, but it was just taking that little extra step, adding a little bit of, you know, of you know, QC and a little bit of loving touches here and there, and just to make, you know, ultimately to make a better product than was made yesterday.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we want, you know. And I mean, you know, sometimes you can blame Jesse for your headaches and heartburn and whatnot. So I'm sure you'll give him a ration of shit every once in a while. But at the same time, I mean, that's what is infectious about, you know, the relationship that we have, and really just my admiration for what you do is that you've taken that determination, that drive, that passion, and said, look, you know, I'm not going to essentially come to EMPI again without being able to make a difference. And that's again, it just shows your character. And that's what's really cool about it. That's going to be the reason why I've bugged this dude for a year to come on the show so that we could just talk about, you know, car stuff. I mean, we love it. We talk about it. We talk life, guns, you know. If you guys haven't checked out the video, we talk about how sticky tracks can be sometimes. Plug for the YouTube channel. But at the same time, I mean, it's really what it's about. And I think everybody that's here, right, and everybody that's kind of coming back into the organization, I mean, they want to make a difference. They want to help and change and grow, and that's what's really cool, you know. And we're doing that by, you know, building new product and developing new stuff, you know, and it's kind of cool to see where it's at, and it's kind of cool. Anthony Vaughn just chimed in. It's great that you guys are building something great, you know, and it's true. I mean, it really is true. I feel that way. I know a lot of the listeners see that, and I think that those that are actually in tune with it, I mean, would have to agree with the changes. I mean, we're constantly, there's not a day where there's not something new going on or a different evolution. So when we say, hey, there's something new this week, well, it's not just a cliffhanger, because there's just a stream of parts and items and things that are coming down the backlog, you know. It's, you know, it's like, you know, we're going to talk about this in just a little bit, you know, and it's whether it's something new from Willwood, or whether it's a new toy, or whether it's a new cylinder head, or bringing back a cylinder head. I mean, there's an engine piece, a flange crank. I mean, there's always something new, and that's the cool part about it. And that's why we kind of do this show, right? And just to share our enthusiasm. So it's cool to see guys like, you know, Anthony Vaughn chiming in, and I know we've got a few others that are waiting to give us some comments and whatnot. And we already saw a good little inkling of it. Shout out to Buddy Hale. But you know what I mean, what's next for you? You know, what do we want to do here? I mean, you've talked about goals. Is there something you kind of, you know, want to stake your flag with, or?
Well, looking at the volume of heads when I first came here, I kind of had a plan, kind of like a 3-step plan. The third step being kind of a performance upgrade and kind of going through the ports we have, because it's kind of like it's a few different iterations of ports that we have here. So we have the ports that were originally bought from Bugpack, and then we have the ports from Darren at DRD, when Dan purchased 2 companies basically and got two different cylinder head programs in one, you know, and kind of meshed them into one.
Yeah.
So the last step in the cylinder head restructuring, or you would say, is to start going through those ports and start maximizing, get rid of some of the ones that don't sell. You know, they're kind of just there, and then focus on, you know, designing some new street ports. You know, something that is good for a daily driver every day. You know, torquey motor type of stuff, and then also start to develop a higher end race type hot street port, you know. Something that I love doing. So
yeah, I mean, some of you guys have seen a little boxes and different things, and I'll try to get you a good little angle view of it there. I mean, these are samples and designs that we're working on. I mean, you guys have seen our catalog.
So these are going to be the new boxes for
working on the new design. So, you
first
see,
time I'm seeing it.
see, there's always something new, but we put little things on here. So as our audience starts to watch the show, they're going to see, little Easter eggs that we put around. And I'll use that because that's just to give snippets of, for me to come on here every single week, talk about it. It's like, hey, I want it to be guys like you and little Easter eggs like the boxes, because there's so many moving pieces and we're trying to put that down there. But, where I'm trying to go with it is like, the evolution of it all and really just little things like that is just, it's cool, man. It really is.
Yeah. And right now we're working on bringing back the Superflow head.
You're already dropping it before I had a chance.
Oh, you were going to drop it first?
I mean, it is your department, so that's sorry. All right. I mean, hey, that's your freebie to come on the show. There you go. So yeah, you guys heard it first. You heard it here. The Superflow head is coming back. So is come on.
Street Eliminator.
There we go. The Street Eliminator as well, guys. You heard it. They're already getting cast from the tool with the revisions and everything else to make them that much more badass on top of what they already were.
Yeah. So when EMPI first bought Bug Pack, they kind of shelved some of the parts, being all the cylinder heads for Bug Pack line, the aftermarket stuff. They didn't have any interest in making them. For what reason? I don't know. But so anyway, the tooling was just kind of sitting around here. And then when I came, kind of dug through it and looked at it, and the Superflow molds I had already modified when I worked for Roger. Rick brought them over and we did some modifications to kind of upgrade them from there. And then now we're going to upgrade them again and tighten up the tooling, get everything ready to go again and start running them. That's
so cool. Tyler Walton chimed in the comments, says Anthony builds some badass heads, chassis too. Lucky to have him at EMPI. And I think that resonates a lot through here. I mean, you can do quite a bit of things that people don't really know about. They think he's just a head guy. Like, no, that guy can drop some dimes on the welding table. And I mean,
like I said, it's all stuff that I couldn't afford. I couldn't afford Ron Loomis or Jimmy to build me a chassis. I couldn't afford.
Very few.
The only thing is we don't do transmissions. So that's the only thing we ever bought.
Yeah.
And paid for was transmissions, because those are just too hard to build. But
yeah, it's not
motors, cylinder heads, chassis, tin work.
Very cool stuff. Another comment came through here, man. I love seeing this stuff, man. Brad, I got back into V-dubs not long ago, and I agree with Anthony that it's great to see what you guys are doing and keep things alive. Thanks, Brad. I mean, that's what's fun about it. I mean, for me, it's infectious. I like to talk about it outside. We don't get to travel around, especially now with kind of what the pandemic that happened, but you don't get to see it. Like last year, this time we were in freaking South Carolina, and for
dying of heat stroke.
Yeah, dying of heat stroke, and then the tornado, or whatever. But that's the stuff that why we want to have these shows, and we give them snippets, things. It's like, I mean, how many people will be excited now that the Superflow is coming back and the Street Eliminator is coming back, and then you're able to leave your mark on it, and that's kind of where we're kind of trying to go with some of this box stuff. Is you're going to design a new cylinder head and come out with stuff that's just a proper good port and a performance style port, and have that ready. But to be able to provide people with the specs and the statistics or the stats of everything is going to be awesome. And it's really, I think, what's going to kind of drive the future and kind of resonate the quality, the speed, and innovation of what we're trying to drive through our mindset here. And it starts within, right? So then it can continue to grow without, outside the four walls.
Yeah. I mean, EMPI has not ever said, well, they only said no to me once on one piece of equipment, but it was quite expensive. But they've never said no to anything that I wanted. So it was, from the Rottler seat and guide machine to the performance trend spring tester to the Superflow 1020 bench. I mean, over the year we've acquired a lot of tools that will be able to, so we can produce the best cylinder head. We have the the Haas, and it's set up good. The machine's really consistent. We have Jack's programmer in there right now, starting to mess around with a couple different fixtures and a couple different machine operations to get things to one, speed stuff up so we can produce stuff faster, but also make it a better product, because some of the programs are kind of a little jittery and jumpy, and so he's cleaning all that stuff up and just making it so production goes faster, so we could pour heads faster and bore heads faster, put in seats faster, so.
Well, and I think that leads to like the next point really that I wanted to make with this is that a lot of people had the presumption of, hey, just EMPI's a buying, selling, or they're making it overseas and then it lays in the box, they stick an EMPI label on it, we shove it back out the door. That's really not the case. And that's not the case specifically today that we're going to talk about with our cylinder head program. Yes, we're buying castings like we do, like everybody does. But the finish work and the all that is done in-house in our Anaheim facility. And that's something that you're driving the force behind and really what we're trying to do. And it just, again, it's another spot to resonate of where we're trying to go with it. And with Clyde now here too, helping, it's just raising that bar, right? I mean, what do you want to kind of run down some of the finish work that we're doing here so that people understand? And
yeah, I mean, the original business model was to buy things from China, bring them here, do as little finish work as possible here, and then put out the product, which in theory could be done, in an efficient manner. But, more times than not, the problem is buying in such volume. So if you're buying a 5,000 heads at a time, if there's a mistake, that's 5,000 mistakes that you have. So you can't, you don't want to rely when you're trying to build the best product you can. You don't want to rely on other factors. If you can do it in-house, do it in-house. Yep. And about 6 months ago, we decided, to buy less from China, to buy less finished machine work from China and finish it in-house. And we started setting up the CNC to do that. So now, we're going to be doing, 60-70% of the finished machine work here.
Yeah.
To be able to control the quality control, because you don't want to say you're going to put out the best product, but then rely on somebody else to do it, because then it's out of your hands. So
yeah, with the tolerances and everything else that we kind of want to do. It's funny. I'm getting the list of comments coming through. So everybody says you'd be really fun right now if you had a couple beers. So they're under the table. We won't tell nobody. Okay. We had to take the edge off a little bit. but no, I mean, that's exactly kind of, I'm trying to extract it out of you because I don't want to be your mouthpiece, but it's really, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. I mean, it's driving that point home to say, look, man, we can buy from overseas. We can buy from different vendors around the globe, right? But it's the attention to detail on a key and specific pieces like cylinder heads, like the crankshafts, like so many other items that we're working towards, that it's so important to be able to have that control and to be able to inspect, and you'll see it immediately. And we can then, should there be an issue, make a change or whatever else. But it's just about having that control, right? So that it's, we have the facility, we have the space, and now we're adding the pieces to the puzzle, i.e. the guys that are knowledgeable like yourself and Jack, to continue to build and do the things that what made you guys great and created in the first place.
Yeah. So, and EMPI's stepped up with the hiring of Clyde, which is, it's been rough at times over the last year of just, like I said, the volume is just, of trying to push so much product through that sometimes I got lost on what the final focus and outcome should be. I kind of ground down into that day to day, just doing non-ported 40 by 35 heads, just because you just got to fill the shelves,
Yeah.
But now with bringing Clyde on, it kind of gives me a breather, and then also gives me a second eyes, because he's doing cylinder heads. I was 5 years old when he started doing cylinder heads, so
don't age the poor guy.
He's not that much older than me. That's the thing. He started young,
Yeah. And
he started young, working with, his dad and his mom, and learned, from the best. So to have those eyes here is more than I can ask for, because you get tunnel vision sometimes, you get stuck in a rut, and sometimes you lose focus, and it could be just a turn a little bit to the right or left that can, okay, I didn't look at it that way or whatever. So
yeah, it's a cool perspective, and that's the neat part about it is the tools, right, that you need. Not just, when I say tools, it's a total package. It's the personnel, it's the accountability measure, right, with the blueprints and the specs and everything that we're doing now in the future, and then you add in the fact of the supporting equipment to give you what we need, or to give you what you need. Like, I mean, we made some substantial investments this year with the Superflow 1020, right? I mean, that's a fantastic machine and equipment. We've got the additional Rottler machine now that we've got for valve seat and guides, and computer controlled. I mean, we're giving it, so now that the quality is just going to start raising off the charts. Not that it was,
and now we got the dyno.
Yeah, and that's right, in-house dyno.
We can go from concept to manufacturing to testing all in the same building and get immediate data.
Yeah, I think one of the things that will really kind of resonate, and something I'm personally excited about, is just to basically watch, right? Because you're going to start out and you're going to have your porting station that you guys are going to be building very, very soon, right? So you're going to have your hand porting station in-house. You can port and design and work on something, go float, go make it, adjust it. Then we have our computer machine and our scanning. We can digitize that, turn that into a CNC program, then turn that into a finished product, then turn that into a motor that's going to go right into the dyno that's also in-house, see our results, work our specs, and go up, down, left, right, or whatever we want to do with a wide variety of it. And you touched a little bit on it too, about like just the cylinder heads. I mean, we've got a ton of cylinder heads offerings already, but we want to streamline that down to maybe 5 or 6. But those 5 or 6 are going to be off the chart, right? And then they're going to be able to go an extreme level of that and offer, a really big racing ported head and stuff like that. So be able to do that all in-house under your watch.
Yeah,
it's got to feel, because we're giving a lot of trust. If you look at it, I mean, the higher ups, those guys are instilling in you a lot of power and ability and the trust to run with this program, to really deliver on a superior cylinder head.
Yeah, it's I'm thankful that I got the opportunity to work here under the conditions and working environment, which is really one of the best companies I work for. They're really, as long as you produce and really give them a good path of where you want to go, they kind of just let you do it. There's very, very little micromanaging here. It's more of
results driven.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you can sell the part and the part lasts and works good, they're kind of just, they're kind of hands off, on that. They're not, you just have to produce.
Yeah. That's, it touches again back on a subject that Eddie Express and I had a discussion about this, and even Adrian brought it up last week. We think we've got the right guy at the helm. We've got the right executives supporting the vision of where we want to go. And I think each mile marker that we do and the milestone that's accomplished and the results that are given are indicative of where we all want to march. And we are marching in that same direction, man.
Yeah.
So we gonna drop any little bangers or hints about stuff? We gonna drop anything? Not ready yet. I should have given him another beer. Shannon, Shalon, I think it's Gonzalez says, we need another beer, I think. So we can take the edge off and get it. It's like truth serum, right? 3 Bud Lights, and we start to get the truth out of Anthony. So those that want to know secrets about the racing and the tech and everything else, catch him on his mountain bike at the the bug-in after hours. But I don't care. I'll say it. I mean, basically, we're trying to come out hard, and we're going to come out with a banger that's going to be a badass piece of equipment and cylinder head that's gonna shake the industry. And it's the fruits of your labor. I mean, we've had it done for a while, and now it's getting put to work. And I mean, I'm stoked because hey, man, I'm a marketing guy. I get to sell it. I get to talk about it. And dude, you're my buddy. And I mean, I dig it. So, for us, success is as a whole, right? So if you're successful, we're going to be successful. We all want to read off of that, right? It's growth, but to be able to know what's already coming on the pipeline, dude. And I know you're going to get text messages later. What the hell is this secret weapon thing you're building? It's straight out of Skunkworks. I mean, it's the Wizards laboratory, man. And we've got a head done, and it's going to be bitching, and it's going to be unveiled at SEMA. So if you're going to be at SEMA this year, be prepared for a couple bangers, because it's going to be off the hook, and you're not going to want to miss it. I mean, I'm stoked, and that's just a snippet of what's coming. And I mean, I already know that there's so much more you guys have laid to the groundwork for to bring ahead, and it's just going to be bitching. So I'm telling you guys right now, SEMA 2020 is going to be off the hook, and PRI as well. And you're going to see some shit that.
I mean, what I like about it is when you're hand porting heads, there's only so many you can do. There's only so many heads you can do.
Since the
that's why
I
have a tennis elbow, and I don't have tennis. I don't play tennis, but so you're kind of limited. I mean, your scope of your scope of customer base is only limited to how many you can do. Maybe your reputation might go a little bit past that, and people wait in line. And I've pissed off many people because it takes so long to do heads, but it's just kind of how it is, but with the beauty about the CNC is you can do all that fine tuning, and you can build the head of your dreams and then push the button and walk away. I mean, the best nights I have here during the coronavirus thing, I worked nights to kind of limit myself from exposure. Plus I was helping, with my wife with my daughter in the morning and stuff. So I'd work at night. So I'd be here by myself, and I'm doing valve jobs, and the CNC's running the whole time. I could port, for 8 to 10 hours straight, and I'm doing something else, and I look over and the machine's porting for me. It's like, there's nothing better than that, because that means that when we do these heads, they can get out to more people. More people can have that experience of running that head.
Yep. And that's where, for me, man, I'm excited, right? I mean, it doesn't take much, with like the little box and kind of where we're going, but it's just ideas. And I mean, every ounce of detail, right, that is going into this cylinder head is going into every single step of the phase and the process, not only just the casting, the components that are going into it, the angles of everything, the precision and the tolerances that we're holding to is all going to be indicative. And then even the steps of, what I liked is the boxing and the packaging and my vision and where I want to go is I want to be able to basically have you have a head that is going to be, man, remember that tenure when Chica was at EMPI and they built some of those badass heads. And by the way, here's a box of what it looked like. And here's one on my shelf that I had. And here's a signature card that goes with it. Like, you guys have no idea what's coming down the pipeline in store. And I mean, I know this is a topic, and I know this is a really good show, and I can tell a lot of interesting people are wanting to know what's going on within these four walls, but we're sworn to secrecy. It's a blood oath, right? Pat Downs, thanks for checking in. What's up, Wizard? It's good when Pat Downs is chiming in on us and stuff like that. Me
and Pat battled quite a few times during the Renkafer years and the Renkafer Cup years and stuff.
I had a couple battles with Pat. Super Comp days.
I would port a set of heads. I'd flow it, and then I'd call him up and I'd say, Pat, I just got 240 CFM out of your head, and I'd hang up.
See, that's the stuff that people are like patiently waiting for.
When Rick ended up at CB, ended up calling Roger, and Roger comes in the porting room and is like, quit calling Pat. Got his boss calling me, telling me to leave leave him alone. But we battled back and forth for a long time and pushed each other. It's like he would get a little bit more, I'd get a little bit more.
That's what it's about. It's the rivalry, it's the friendly part of it all. There's other aspects of it all, but it's more about that this industry can be great for everybody, right? If we just embrace it and how we look at it and how we assess it, and that's the fun. Those are the stories that I'm sure people love to hear. But it's like, to be able to see that and to live it, and that's really what I think. And again, I can only imagine what some of those things as you were kind of coming through your early 20s, like with Fred and then getting over to Rogers, but to be able like, hey, I achieved this now with this, and this is the radius that I did, and the angle, and to kind of watch some of the guys that set the bar and the standard of a performance head, and to kind of give you the little attaboy at that age must have been pretty badass.
Yeah, I mean, it was always I had heroes or whatever people you looked up to.
Yeah.
And, Clyde was one of them. I used to read, I don't know how many times I read the article of when they built Gary's streetcar. There was a picture in there. There's quite a few pictures of him porting the heads, blending the chambers and stuff. And I just read it over and over and over, and then, read old NHRA stuff and, talk to people about, Fumio Fukaya and, Lonnie Reed and Steve Timms and all these people that were Roger Crawford, Fred Simpson. I obviously got to work with those guys, so I got to see them every day. But these were the guys that cool. I looked up to growing up and tried to emulate myself after. So
that's what's fun about coming to work every day. I mean, it really is, because again, you get to work with some of the guys that, for me, I get to work with guys that I looked up to and watched race and wrote some of the baddest history in the industry. I mean, and to be able to do that is pretty freaking awesome. So, dude, I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked that you came in finally. I think we beat you into submission. You're boiling over with enthusiasm and excitement as always. For Chica, if you guys don't know, man of many words until you give him a couple of cold Bud Lights, and that loosens him up a little bit. But dude, thanks, man. I really do appreciate it, and I'm excited for your moment to shine at SEMA this year. It's going to be bitching, and I promise I won't let you down on my end.
It's gonna be hard work.
It's going to be bitching. So let's talk about some other cool stuff. Let's just talk cars. Some of you guys saw this on the desk, and you guys probably saw that. There we go. You're seeing it here first. This is an exclusive Willwood disc brake caliper that we've designed, and you're seeing it here first, man. And this beauty, this gem. So I'm trying to give you guys a good camera angle of it, and you'll see some Instagram stuff coming out. This is the new bad dog, man. All billet construction, 2-piston, large. I mean, 4 ports, the proper M10 1.0 inlet line, mil spec anodized coating. This thing is bitching, and will bolt to any of the factory gear style calipers and whatnot. So, excuse me.
Put a set on the front of my 74.
Oh yes, the little grocery getter. Yeah. But this thing is going to be bitching. I love showing this kind of stuff. This is the stuff for me. It's super exciting. It just shows really where we're trending, and every one of these little snippets that we could talk about and we could show at this time. It's like I get so damn worked up and excited. I'm like, Jojo the circus clown, and it's like there's so many things I want to share because I get to work in that every day. I get to work on the ideation and what's new and what we need to fix and what work on and what we're going to develop and why. And there's so many new products that the ideation group, which is really cool, like Rick Sadler, Jesse Harden, Charlie, myself. It's pretty cool to work on that and meet twice a week for an hour at a time plus just to go over everything and where we're at. And it's really, really cool to see. But you guys take a look at this. It's already coming in the works. They're already working on it. These things should be here in just a couple of weeks, but this is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And I'm going to set that like right there. We'll slide that over. And hopefully it doesn't fall off the freaking table. I can't see. But, man, so many comments to get through here. Aaron, what's up? Eddie from Apple Valley, thanks for checking in. I mean, dude, you're killing it on the show. I mean, the count of watchers and watch parties and notifications, I think is kind of pretty much top, dude. I mean,
we got the most views with the cripple video. So.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, you know, Chica's not a small dude. I mean, he's what, 6'2", 6'3",
6'2", 250.
6'2", 250 on a good day, pre-Super Mex.
Yeah.
And this time last year, he looked like a baby deer trying to get off the track. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, do yourself a favor and check out our EMPI Insider YouTube page. And please comment and like and smash that button to show that Chica. All you see is that dude stumbling and that big old Cheshire Cat smile that he works with. So let's say, are they in red or yellow? I don't know what you're asking me, brother. Go ahead and guys keep firing away. Calipers, sweet calipers. They're only the one color. It's only going to come in that gunmetal. Feel free to do whatever color you want to do with them. Make them fit your ride. Customize them. But you know you're going to solid bitchin' building block. So very cool. What about
that an anodized finish?
That's an anodized. That's a mil spec hard anodized surface. It's supposed to prevent and help against abrasion and the corrosion and stuff like that. I mean, we didn't spare any expense, and it's a really aggressively priced caliper. This thing's gonna be badass. Craig Russell, what's up from Clovis? I mean, dude, it's really cool. And then, you guys, we love seeing this kind of stuff. I love sharing it with this dude every day.
There's stuff that I don't even know that goes on around here. You just happen to be walking down the hallway and see something. It's like, oh, where'd that come from? You know?
And that's the fun part of it. And again, I get excited about it. And did you guys see it? Or it's like, oh, you know, this is the new receiving. And they're like, what truck is that doing here and delivering that? I'm like, oh yeah, we did a business agreement with him, or we did that. So I love it. You know, Patrick Carney, what cam should I run? Work on oil leaks first, then we'll talk horsepower. Because the Chica's not going to pass you on tech next time. What about racing, man? Before we get out of here, what advice do you have for somebody that wants to kind of get into VW racing? It's like it was this daily driver to and from high school, but I want to go to the next thing. What would you tell somebody coming into here?
I mean, I would start with figure out a budget and be realistic, because I've seen more people. We just talked about it the other day. The average kind of for a VW racer, it seems to be about 3 to 5 years, and then they disappear. You know, you see people come and go, and they're all hot to go, and they got the coolest stuff, and the car looks bitching, but then they're gone. You know, there's been this. You know, I mean, you know, Jack's been around for 30 years, and he's the one that brought it up. He's like, man, I've seen so many people come and go, and I said, I think it's just burnout. You know, it's like, you know, if you don't have. Like I was very fortunate to have the means to have a lot of access to cool, you know, equipment to work on and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't, so they have to buy everything, or they have to have somebody work on their stuff, or they have to have somebody build their motor. So you really need to start with a budget and be realistic, you know. So, and if that means you're running a 14-second bracket car, then that's where you start, you know. But you know, a lot of people want to jump up to the bigger classes right off the bat, and you know, it's expensive to run those higher end classes, but you can have just as much fun, and you can win more money when you're talking about total money spent versus winnings. You can win way more than we would running a 14-second bracket car.
Yeah,
because we almost get paid the same, but we cost us $10,000 to go to the race. It costs you to take a gas and the entry fee, you know. So it's kind of, you know, if you can start realistic and then work your way up, get your feet wet, learn, you know, meet people. You're going to meet a lot of cool people, a lot of people that can help. You know, the more contacts you make, the better the experience is going to be when you go to the track.
Yeah. And
then you're going to come across people. Hey, I'm selling a set of carburetors. Hey, I'm selling a set of heads, you know, or whatever. And you can work your way up that way, or you can, you know, by buying used parts, or you can buy, you know, save your money and come to EMPI and, you know, start buying some cylinder heads and cranks and, you know, carburetors, and start working your way up. But start with a budget.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of guys, everybody loves to go heads up racing, right? I mean, that's the whole fascination with it all. So let's go heads up racing. Well, it's cool and it's great and it's badass, and we love to watch it as a fan, and we love to see it. And many people, you know, they're not ready for that, so they end up hurting themselves, hurting their car, hurting somebody else in the meantime. But even more so, we just, like you said, the turnover here is some of the stuff that you don't want to see. And that's the turnover within organizations. It's like, man, you could spend 2-3 years, coming up. I mean, hell, Pro Eliminator was the shit forever. I mean, Muffler Mike and all those guys battling
still
out.
is.
Still,
I mean, there's a tighter competition in that class than there is in Superstock sometimes,
and full fields. I mean, that's the great part about it. You're going against a lot of the greats that do it, and it's affordable. And I think you just hit it perfectly, man. Just don't always go out to light the world on fire. Get your feet wet first and work your way up. That's pretty bitching. Dominic Lapino says, when's Rick Sadler going to be on the show? I want to torture him. Rick was on the show early on, Dom, but I will send him my love, and we're going to get him back in. What I want to do, and I think if you guys want to see this, I would love to get a little panel going with all the EMPI kind of legends and greats right now that are here, like you, Sadler, Jack. We'll even let Jesse join, and just we'll talk and we'll give these guys a roundtable deal. And I'd love to put that together sometime in July for you guys. And if you guys want to see that, comment and let us know if you want to see the EMPI roundtable with everybody and kind of fire away questions, and we'll let Eddie kind of be the administrator. I think it'd be pretty bitching. Paul chimed in right now, Chica, and asked 2110 cc, what carb setup do you recommend for a street car? And I mean, first thing to come to mind, 40 or 44 HP max, depending on what cam, right?
Yeah. I mean, I made really good power and drivability with 40 millimeter carbs, and it just depends on what kind of performance RPM you want. If the RPM is going to go up a little higher, put the 44 on it. But I like the 40. I mean, I made good power, good torque, good gas mileage, with the 40.
There you go. See, that's the stuff that we love. That's exactly why this show is on. Is we want people to be able to come in, chime in. It's and like at the racetracks and stuff like that, it's difficult to get a hold of you, or you're busy. So to be able to sit here and give you a platform for us to even take notes and get comments and get stuff answered, it's cool. So great question. Last here, Brad, can EMPI come out with some trim to fit cylinder 10, maybe even some Superflows? Brad, if you didn't catch the show earlier, Superflows are coming back, baby. So are the Street Eliminators. These things are the real deal, badass, 100% hand finished here in our Anaheim corporate HQ. So Eddie Brazil's like, hey, he's like, I raced 3 years and then went broke. I'm like, it happens, man. It happens. And Patrick Carney would save you a seat, brother. No problem. Dude, thank you. I really mean that. I mean, I've been bugging you, jokingly, giving you a ration of shit throughout the last year about starting on the show, but
I had fun. I mean, it's nice to kind of just sit down for half an hour or whatever and relax.
It's been an hour, dude.
Hour?
Yeah.
Cool.
It flies by, man. You're like, holy crap, it's been an hour. And, it's been cool. And I appreciate it. I really do. I mean that a lot. I respect you more than you'll ever probably know. And except when you're walking like a baby deer. Well, let's see, trying to get the last questions. And Zach, what is the opinion for distributor carb combo for a 1641 street car? Man, that's a toughie. It's pretty.
I was always simple 009 with a electronic pickup and dual carbs. I mean, dual 40s, dual 44s. I mean,
yeah.
16. So what do you say? 1641?
1641 street car. So just a set of 40s, 009 with electronic ignition, and
simple.
Roll it.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Anthony. Such a humble guy. Well done, EMPI. Thanks, David Butler. So it's just cool. It's cool to see that you put something out and you're digging it, man. So it's very cool. And
is that David from Australia?
That's David Butler. That's all I know.
I think he's from Master Machinist from Australia.
See, man. Anthony Vaughn chiming in for you. Anthony and Doug absolutely started from the ground up. I remember when they flat towed their car all the way to Sacramento with a V-Dub Rabbit truck.
Rabbit car, diesel Rabbit.
There you go. So if you think about it, like the humble beginnings of like Jack and you guys, and if you want to go back even further to like how the Schleys were doing it, driving the car there, dragging it behind something, behind a bus on a tow bar, and like, oh well, shit, let's roll the dice and see what happens. And it's just cool.
I think
man.
it was Anthony that passed us on the freeway. Kind of gave us that.
What the hell you guys did? Anthony, dude, thank you for chiming in. And we definitely, once things loosen up a little bit, we got to get together for a group lunch over there at the Italian joint in Fullerton. So it'd be cool to catch up with you guys again. Anyway, he says, great work, Chica. That's the most I've heard you talk in 14 years. Seems about right. And, I did slip my roofie of some Rockstar before because we had to, make sure he was up to snuff. But anyhow, dude, thank you so much, and we're going to close it out today. It's just been awesome. So there you have it, folks. It's been an awesome show. I'm super stoked to be able to spend an hour with my dude, Anthony Chicca, the Wizard, give you guys just a little snippet of what's going on behind the scenes here at EMPI. I challenge you and I encourage you guys to show up the next time we do an open house or an event and take advantage of those shop tours that we did last year. It is nothing like it was a year ago back there. And I mean, with what we're working on right now, with the EMPI garage and the new dyno room and the EMPI studio and the lift and the tools and the Boxo tools and garage going in. Shout out to Boxo for coming in and going to help us set everything up, make it look really nice and give us the tools and equipment we need. It's bitching. Taylor's like, hey, we're an NHR record holder too. Can't forget that, so living legend, head guru,
quickest and fastest super stock pass in history.
To this day. Mic drop. Anyhow, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into the EMPI Insider Show. My man, Anthony Chicca, do me a solid. Follow us on Facebook at EMPI Insider. More importantly, go to YouTube, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notifications. We will see you actually again Thursday for our South American Brazil special that we're doing with our friends through Brazil about some of the racing organizations and what we can do down there to help them at EMPI. And we're talking to our counterparts down there as well. But as always, man, thank you guys so much. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you guys there. And be good humans. We'll catch you next week. See ya.